Appamada's programs and facilities are supported through your generosity. Your support really does make a huge difference. You'll find a link for contributions on the website at appamada.org/contribute. Thank you so much.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Everyone. I remembered about the announcement this time. We got the announcement in there. Oh, my name is Ann Lipscomb, and I will be talking this morning about great expectations. So I'll be using some text from Dharma Talks by Joko Beck and by Pema Chodron to talk about this. And I wanted to talk a little bit before I started about why I chose this. As I was thinking about this talk, I have a book on my bookshelf by Pema Chodron called The Wisdom of No Escape. And so I went directly to that book because I'm presently having a lot of physical pain in my hip because I have bad hip arthritis and there's a hip replacement scheduled for November. But November is a long way, the end of November is a long way away. And by the end of the day, most days, I'm in a lot of pain, walking and bending and sitting and standing. And so I wanted to find out what Pema Chodron had to say about when you can't escape something. How do you practice with something that you want to escape and that you realize that you can't escape? Or how do you practice with continually trying to escape? So I read her Dharma talk on no escape, and then looked through Joko Beck's book and found a talk called Great Expectations. And I thought, yeah, that sounds about right. I have great expectations of being out of pain and having my life go back to what it was before I had pain. And thinking, how do I practice with that? I was talking with Kim this morning and realizing that sometimes I use my practice to get around something that I don't like. It's how we all come to practice, wanting to relieve our suffering. But in the midst of practicing, we hear and read that the way is through, not around. That, as Kim reminded me, around is termed spiritual bypassing, using our practice to change what is into what we would like it or prefer it to be. So this seemed to me a really interesting and for me fruitful topic this morning. How do I not use this practice just to get around my suffering? And how do I practice with the pain? So I'd like to read some, and then we'll have a short exercise at the end. Hopefully we'll have time for that, and I think we will. So this talk of Joko Beck's comes from Everyday Zen, one of her early books. And the title, like I said, is Great Expectations. So just in case anyone doesn't know, Charlotte Joko Beck was a teacher, a root teacher of Peg Syverson, who is one of the senior teachers that began Appamada. Great Expectations. 2 book titles recently jumped into my mind. The first was Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, and the second was Paradise Lost by John Milton. There is an intimate connection between them. What is it? We are all seeking paradise, enlightenment, or whatever name you choose to use. It seems to us that paradise is lost. There's not much of it in my life, most people would say. We want this paradise, this enlightenment. We are desperate for it. We are here to seek for it. But where is it? What is it? We come to practice with great expectations, and we struggle. We search. We hope. And some of us even expect. The human game continues. We have, if not great expectations, some hope that sometime paradise is going to appear to us. Now, if we don't know what paradise is, we know for sure what it isn't. We are certain that paradise is not about being miserable. Paradise is not failing at something. Paradise is not being criticized or humiliated or punished in any way. It's not physical pain. It's not making mistakes. It's not losing my partner or my friend or my child. Paradise just couldn't be confusion or depression. And it's not about being lonely or working when worn out or sick. We have definite lists of what paradise is not. But if it's not these states, then what is it? Is it having more money, more security? Is it having dominance or power or fame or recognition from others? Is paradise being surrounded by people, being supported and loved? Is it having more peace and quiet, more time to think about the meaning of life? Is it any of these, or is it not? Some people here have made it onto the second list. They've got some of these things, a little of the good life, and yet no matter what we have, once we have it, oh, is this it? But no, this isn't it either. Where is it? We never seem to quite catch it. It's like chasing a mirage. When we arrive, it disappears. It's interesting that some people, as they near their death, finally see or realize what they had never seen or realized up to that point. And having that realization, they die peacefully, even with joy, in paradise at last. What have they seen? What have they found? Remember the tale of the man being chased by a tiger? Facing death before him and behind him, he eats a strawberry, exclaiming, "It's so delicious," because he knows that for him, it is his last act. Now let's return to our first list, what paradise isn't, and give it a fresh slant. I'm so miserable, and it's so delicious. I really failed, and it's so delicious. I would offer at this point that maybe instead of "it's so delicious," that the thing we say to ourselves is, "I have a life," or Thich Nhat Hanh's present moment, beautiful moment. But she goes on, "I've never been so humiliated in my life, and it's so delicious. I'm so lonely, and it's so delicious." When we thoroughly understand this, any circumstance of life is paradise itself. Now let's turn to some words of Dogen Zenji. He once said, "Let go of and forget your body and mind. Throw your life into the abode of the Buddha, living by being moved and led by the Buddha." When you do this without relying on your own physical and mental power, you become released from life and death and become a Buddha. This is the truth. Do not search for truth anywhere else. Let go of and forget your body and mind. What is meant? Throw your life into the abode of Buddha. What is the abode of the Buddha? He refers to human error in his first words. Let go of and forget your body and mind. Instead of referring everything to the comfort, protection, and pleasure of body and mind, which we do, he asks us to throw your life into the abode of the Buddha. Where is the abode of the Buddha? Where are we to throw our life? Since Buddha is none other than this absolute moment of life, which is not the past or the present or the future, he is saying that this very moment is the abode of Buddha, enlightenment, paradise. It is nothing but the life of this very moment. Whether we are miserable or happy, a failure or a success, there is nothing we experience which is not the abode of the Buddha. Throw your life into the abode of the Buddha, living by being moved and led by it. What is meant? We cannot live without being this moment, because that's what our life is. Being led by it is to see it, feel it, taste it, touch it, experience it, and then let it dictate what is to be done. He says that when you do this without relying on your own physical and mental power, that is, without your personal opinions as to how things should be, you become released from both life and death and become a Buddha. Why? Why do you become a Buddha? Because you are a Buddha. You are this moment of life. You can't be anything else. When we sit, when we live our daily schedules, we are in the abode of the Buddha. Where else could we be? Every moment of zazen, painful, peaceful, boring, is what? Paradise, nirvana, the abode of the Buddha. Yet, we come with great expectations to practice, to attempt to find it. Where is it? When you leave, where is it? The abode of the Buddha is your body and mind's direct experience, not something else, somewhere else. Dogen Zenji said, "This is the truth. Do not search for the truth anywhere else." Where can you search? There is no paradise lost, none to be regained. Why? Because you cannot avoid this moment. You may not be awake to it, but it is always here. You cannot avoid paradise. You can only avoid seeing it. When people know their death is very close, what is the element that often disappears? What disappears is the hope that life will turn out the way they want it to. Then they can see that the strawberry is so delicious, because that's all there is, this very moment. Wisdom is to see that there is nothing to search for. If you live with a difficult person, that's nirvana, perfect. If you're miserable, that's it. And I'm not saying to be passive, not to take action. Then you would be trying to hold nirvana in a fixed state. It's never fixed, always changing. There is no implication of doing nothing. But deeds done that are born of this understanding are free of anger and judgment. No expectation, just pure compassionate action. And I would add, that means compassion toward oneself. And here I'll skip to Pema Chodron, who speaks to me directly to that. Even though there are so many teachings, so many meditations, so many instructions, The basic point of it all is just to learn to be extremely honest and also wholehearted about what exists in your mind. Thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations, the whole thing that adds up to what we call me or I. Nobody else can really begin to sort out for you what to accept and what to reject in terms of what wakes you up and what makes you fall asleep. No one else can really sort out for you what to accept, what opens up your world, and what to reject, what seems to keep you going round and round in some kind of repetitive misery. This meditation is called non-theistic, which doesn't have anything to do with believing in God or not believing in God, but means that nobody but yourself can tell you what to accept and what to reject. So we go on with Joko Beck. Practice is often a battle with the fact that we absolutely don't want our experience to be the way it is. We definitely don't feel it is the enlightened state. But patiently sitting through it and turning away from concepts, it's hard, it's wonderful, it's boring, this shouldn't be happening to me, enables us to realize the truth of our lives in time. I wanted to add also a teaching that I've heard from Paul Haller, who is a teacher, senior teacher at San Francisco Zen Center. And he refers to this sitting patiently through it and turning away from such concepts as notice, experience, allow. Notice, experience, allow. The truth of our lives, initially in practice, initial practice is all about the first list, the mind racing with all of the problems current in our lives, our desires, our frustrations, all compounded with the fatigue of sitting still and often with some physical discomfort. All of our pet ideas are assaulted in Zazen. And always we are seeking a way around such troubles into the elusive paradise. But again, Dogen Zenji's words, let go of your body and mind, remind us to just maintain clear awareness of all conditions of body and mind, noting our desire to seek pleasure and to avoid pain. But both are this very moment. So he says, throw your life into the abode of the Buddha. Throw your life, be this very moment, cease to judge it, escape it, analyze it, just be it. Notice, experience, allow. This is the truth. Do not search for the truth anywhere else. Why? Why can't we search for it someplace else? There's no place else to search because there is nothing that ever happens anywhere except when? Right here, right now. And it is our very nature, enlightenment itself. Can we wake up and look? So those were very helpful words for me about dealing with physical pain and more of things that I want to turn away from. I want to, in some of the language that some of us use, I want to transform into something else. Some strong words about just this, not, oh, this is wrong, this is bad, I don't like this is unpleasurable. So how can I use this Zen practice to tweak this, to feel better about this, to make myself happier. So what I'd like to do is a small experiment with writing and in small groups. I'd like to do this with groups of 2 or 3. So what I suggest we do is get together in our small groups and sit for just about 2 minutes with the idea of, what is my great expectation? Can be an expectation of that you bring to practice. What is my great expectation of my practice? It can be great expectation of my life with a capital L, or something that's come up in the past few days. What was a great expectation I had? So sit with that for 2 minutes and then write for 5 minutes about what that great expectation is and what it is, what it brings up. And after those 5 minutes, then I would say each of you share, each of the people in the small group share about what their expectation is and what they've written. And think of a discussion prompt as, what is the veil that creates for me? What is the lens that great expectation makes me see things through? And what am I not seeing because of that veil, because of that lens? So we'll have, 10 minutes, maybe 15, because will there be a 3? There will be a 3 in the Zendo. Okay, so 2 minutes to sit and consider, 5 minutes to write, and then 15 minutes to discuss. 22 minutes. That will get us to 45, 10:50.
10:49.
Okay, 10:50, great. Okay, thank you. So we just have a few minutes. Maybe we could have 1 or 2 people who's dying to say something. No one. That's good.
I'll talk.
Kim can talk. Okay.
Well, I should know better, but my expectations were like living forever, on and on and on. Crazy stuff. And I've always thought I wouldn't like heaven because there wouldn't be any problems to solve. But yet, some part of me came out and just one after another. And then I have to share my father's great expectation, and that was he didn't want to die of anything serious.
That's right. Everyone's great expectation is they'll go to bed one night, they won't wake up in the morning. Totally understandable, universal. Anybody online have anything that was new or? I'll tell you, I had to admit to Susan that my great expectation is to have my body and mind be comfortable. And that's why I practice, which is, I'm so embarrassed, but I'm still there, that's what I really hope for and why I come to sit. And I mean, there are other things in my head, but when I think about it, that's my great wish.
What veil does that, mine's similar, so what veil does that bring for you?
Everything, that's what Susan and I were talking about, that it really, everything is taken up by, this isn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That you don't really get to appreciate, I don't get to really appreciate anything strawberries, good days, because it's all not quite good enough. Yeah. What about you?
Mine was, expectation was like to be healthy, mentally healthy, really for this practice. But like mental, physically healthy and safe. And the veil is like the fear that I won't have it, and maybe the anxiety is, am I doing it right, or am I doing it enough or something? And
That
so
you
like,
have some control over it.
yeah, so there's like the want, and then there's like the fear of like, am I like pushing the right buttons here? And then kind of clinging to the identity of wanting to be a healthy person or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We talked a lot about that. That was mine too.
Yeah, health. Yeah. Very. Rosemarie.
Yeah, so my great expectation was that my vulnerability will never show. And my fear and the practice has helped it to come forward so much, but I wanted to get to the bottom of it, and that's it. And so what the veil and the background is just to to avoid the anticipated deep pain of a negative response to it, which I've never had here, but that's I think where that comes from. And the veil is that it creates a delusion or an illusion of control, that I can control the course of my experience.
Yeah.
What that keeps me from, this veil keeps me from, is there's this delusion that my experience is individually, rising and not a response to everything and everyone. And it keeps me from that. So it keeps me basically from connection and the knowledge of the interdependence. So it's so that was my great expectation. I really appreciate this, Anne. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good point, that when we focus on how our expectation is not being met, what is the expectation, that we're very individual. It's very personal. It's and it was nice to do this exercise with Susan, because it wasn't. So much of it was shared. Yeah. So I think we'll end so we can go on to the last part of our service, but thank you very much for your attention and being here.